Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, November 24th, 2014. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The portion of the Windward Highway in Argyle, which fell more than 15 inches over the weekend, has been closed to protect the safety of the traveling public. Making the announcement on radio yesterday, Minister of State Julian Francis said since the problem was discovered on Friday afternoon, the situation has significantly deteriorated. Francis explained that there were more enhanced signs of depression in the road and motorists were becoming uncomfortable. He said as a result, the decision was taken to divert the traffic in the area to an alternative route for a maximum of 3 days until the new bypass road is completed.
Started this morning a bypass for the immediate area, and the bypass is being built in the immediate area just west of the highway. Those of you who travel frequently on the Windward Highway will know where the new house is being built just above the road there. We are going through that cart road, through the yard of that house, and exit just beyond the electricity pole, beyond where the road is sinking. The causes or the cause of it would be better explained by engineers, but they inform me that it has something to do with groundwater and the fill in that area. As listeners would recall, that highway was built about 6 years ago and 6-7 years ago, and we had cut and fill some of those areas. So in that area there were a lot of fill, and groundwater is the cause of some slippage in that area, and as the land slips at the bottom, the road depresses.
Francis said it is important that the engineering team building the new road is given all the space needed to work.
Because the bypass would require drainage as well, and because of the slippage in the area, the water will have to be diverted in a different direction across the Windward Highway. So we have to cut across the Windward Highway to get the drainage done properly at the bypass. And as I said, work started this morning. Those of you who have been there and those of you who have seen on Facebook, you would see under some postings pictures of the work that is being done there. I am convinced that the engineers and the crew from Argyle International Airport, with their heavy equipment and their expertise, will be able to put asphalt on that road by Wednesday night. So by Thursday morning, I trust that we can reopen using that bypass. So I'm asking for the cooperation of the traveling public. It's only for 3 days, and it is better to be safe than to be sorry.
Meanwhile, speaking on the Argyle International Airport at a town hall meeting in New York over the weekend, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves told the gathering that the airport is almost completed. He said they are at the moment addressing the management of the airport and holding discussions with management of different airlines who are interested in operating here.
With airlines in Europe, here in North America, and also in the Caribbean. I expect that we will be in a position in the not too distant future to speak about those which are coming. The regulatory issues are going well with the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority. They have somebody working specifically to prepare on all the manuals. And as you would notice, we are putting everything in place to have the airport be, apart from finishing next year, to be operational next year.
As for the regulatory issues, he says they are going well with the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority. With just under a month since Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves named 15 sporting and cultural ambassadors, 2 more names were over the weekend added to the list of cultural ambassadors here. Speaking at the New York Town Hall meeting, PM Gonsalves announced his cabinet's decision to bestow the honor of cultural ambassador to 2 Vincentians residing in New York.
On behalf of the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I would like to announce formally that Winston Susu and Cyril Scorcher Thomas will join the pantheon of cultural ambassadors. We thank Winston Susu and Cyril Thomas for their immense contributions.
And while opposition leader Annie Eustace has expressed concern over the purchasing of a new vehicle for the office of the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves has justified the recent vehicle purchase. Speaking at the recent town hall meeting in New York, Dr. Gonsalves said the new vehicle represents the third one purchased for the office of the Prime Minister since he assumed office almost 14 years ago. Dr. Gonsalves said the previous vehicle used was in poor working condition and explained that the new vehicle will be able to serve the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines until 2021.
And when that vehicle, after 6-7 years, had some problems, we put it for use with the technical college. Then we bought this second one, the Volvo. And then, of course, it's 7 years gone by since that was purchased. And you buy another one. So I want to ask the question. A Prime Minister, a leader of the opposition, spending a lot of time about a Prime Minister buying, first of all, he said he buys 6 vehicles. He got math wrong. There were 3 of them, as I explained them to you. They say I buy 2 Volvo. I had to point out to Kenton in his thing. I said, Kenton, you got the facts wrong, and he changed it. Oh, no, it's all right. You could make mistakes. No, every half-decent professional in Kingstown change the vehicle every 3 to 4 years because the maintenance started to get problematic. And you all know any vehicle with me is a vehicle which can work hard.
The local authorities over the weekend followed through with plans to clean up capital Kingstown. SVG-TV News was informed that action was taken on Sunday morning to destroy several of the makeshift vending stalls located in and around the capital. When we arrived on the scene, a number of the stalls had already been destroyed with their boarded frames on the ground. It is not clear whether the vendors were informed of the move prior. However, there were some disgruntled vendors in Kingstown today, but they refused to speak to us on camera. SVG-TV News was unable to get a comment from any member of the Kingstown board on the matter. The Milton Cater Memorial Hospital received another big donation earlier today, this time from the Streams of Power Church. The donations of medical supplies costing 15,000 Canadian dollars was made possible through the Reconnection Ministry and the Glad Tidings Church in Toronto, Canada. A representative of the hospital expressed thanks for the donation, which she says will be put to good use. Dorian Daniel, a representative of the Streams of Power Church, said that his church is always happy to be able to make an impact on the Vincentian society.
The church, as you mentioned, in times even of financial crisis and so forth, in spite of all personal needs, we have seen it fit to partner with the Glad Tidings Church out of Toronto as well as Reconnection Ministries to make an impact in our nation. Yes, we have been doing so spiritually, but the ministry is a whole lot more than spiritual ministry only. We are indeed in the entire ministry of healing altogether. So in this case, it's through the medical supplies where it is, I'm sure you would realize, very much needed. And from your end, I know it's greatly appreciated.
Minister of Health Clayton Bergen says his ministry welcomes the donation and is glad to see religious bodies still involved in the well-being of the Vincentian society.
We have often said that health is an expensive venture, and it's also the responsibility of all and every citizen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. One of the things that we would like to note, or like to ask people to do, is to try to stay as healthy as possible. But as long as we are wrong, diseases of one kind may befall us and certain things, so we have to be prepared for those eventualities. That's why we have doctors and nurses and hospitals and clinics. Now, it is good when you see church organizations come to the aid of a country, whether it's in health, education, or otherwise.
Moody's Investor Service has downgraded SVG's government bond ratings to B3 from B2 and changed the outlook to negative from stable. Moody's said the government short-term foreign currency and local currency ratings are affirmed at not prime. According to the credit rating agency, which provides international financial research on bonds issued by commercial and government entities, the key drivers of the downgrade are external vulnerabilities, which have increased markedly following a strong weather-related shock in December 2013, that the fiscal deterioration from 2013 is set to continue in 2014, leading to weaker public debt ratios and substantial downside risk to debt sustainability. Moody further stated that the principal drivers of its decision to downgrade SVG's sovereign rating are the marked increase in external vulnerability and deterioration in external finances. In early August, the IMF approved the disbursement of approximately $6.4 million, that's 0.9% of GDP, to St. Vincent through its Rapid Credit Facility and Rapid Financing Instrument. However, Moody stated that although the emergency funding alleviates the immediate pressure on SVG's external accounts, the country's vulnerability to exogenous shocks remains elevated and downside risk to balance of payments sustainability remain, stemming from uncertain tourism prospects. The second driver of the rating action, according to Moody, is the continued deterioration in government finances and substantial downside risk to debt sustainability. Immigration officers here were today involved in a training workshop on the current arrangements for the free movement of people within the Caribbean community. The training workshop is to provide immigration officers throughout the member states with an understanding of the underlying principles of the community law and practical operations of CARICOM agreement on the free movement of people. It is being funded under the 10th European Union Development Fund. Addressing the opening session, Chief Immigration Officer here, Stanford Hamilton, says as immigration officers, it is important that they adapt to changing paradigms in border management, migration security, and facilitation.
That we are learning new skills to upgrade our expertise, which can be transferred to new technologies. For workers, often have to take new duties within their current job descriptions. And I'm certain that this is one of the opportunities where you would have the opportunity to learn new skills. We must be aware, however, that the inconsistencies and unpredictability in the interpretation of policy decision, application and adjudication at borders are and of themselves problematic. As such, they present challenges to the integrity of the immigration system, the state, security, and for individual travelers who must deal with the circumstances. As such, there is need to mend the disconnect between the field and the headquarters with a clear understanding of the decision-making policy.
Hamilton says as a result of the training, he is confident that the retooling exercise will bolster their internal feedback mechanism and they will be able to serve the department and by extension the state through service delivery and lifting employees' morale.
Therefore important that we disaggregate management training strategies and their related reasons for service facilitation from that of the security-related ones. In addition, border initiatives like this training exercise must be a constructive first step towards creating a single, unified, efficient, and professional border agency. Therefore, it becomes easier to evaluate program effectiveness in terms of meeting the stated goals. Our goal is to continue to create the opportunity for the effective implementation of the CARICOM Free Movement Agreement. The resulting challenges must be addressed so as to ensure that the obstacles do not undermine the mission or our ability to perform that mission.
According to the Chief Immigration Officer, SVG continues to lead the way in terms of adoption and implementation of its CARICOM obligations. Meanwhile, Deputy Program Manager for the Free Movement of the CARICOM Secretariat, Olivia Smith, says as a result of the training, it is expected that the immigration officers will have a greater understanding of the critical role they play in the process to facilitate the free movement of persons across the various borders. She, however, made it known that it is not only important to understand the movement of people, but why the CSME was established.
And the free movement of people is one of the critical production functions that we hope to use to build our economies, to sustain our economies, and to create that social development that we need in all member states and create a more even playing field and put us in a better position to be responding to the global winds that are not necessarily blowing in our favor. And as a result, we need to undertake a number of reforms, one of which is the administrative and legislative practices that accompany the movement of people within CARICOM. And your role as immigration officers is essential in all of this, because if immigration does not play its role, then the free movement of people cannot happen successfully.
As activities continue here for Tourism Month 2014, several persons in the industry were recognized on Saturday evening at the annual Tourism Awards ceremony. The ceremony was held at Hotel Alexandrina under the theme, Tourism is Everyone's Business. Live it, love it, embrace it. Addressing the gathering, Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, Cecil Sesmaki, urged all stakeholders to pay greater attention to SVG's tourism product, noting that his ministry has been working with communities, churches, schools, and other persons and organizations to ensure that they understand the importance of meeting standards, even the minimum ones.
We have about 2,300 room stock in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and with the coming into being of the Standards Act and with the fee structure now put in place, we want to urge all stakeholders to ensure that their room stocks come up to the required standard. The different sites throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as a ministry, we have been doing extensive work to bring these sites up to the required standard as well. And I think we have been fairly successful in this regard.
Stressing the importance of the tourism industry to SVG, Maki noted the destination is not just about visiting for vacation, but most importantly, the experience.
And when the experience is good, those persons will become ambassadors for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they will sell the product and the destination St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well as we ourselves can. So I want to urge everyone here this evening, all of the stakeholders, bear that in mind. Ensure that when visitors come to our shores, they have an experience even more than a vacation.
Meanwhile, among the awards handed out on Saturday night were Taxi Driver of the Year, which went to Casper Cambridge, and the Immigration Officer of the Year award, which went to Coldrick Ken Gregory Byron. Vermont Nature Trail received the Tourism Site of the Year, while Barley Heritage and Tourism Association received the Community Group Award of the Year. Gardener of the Year went to Dexter Richardson, Room Attendant of the Year, Alma Richards, Bartender of the Year, Joel Jack, Waitress of the Year, Rose Claire Williams, Housekeeper of the Year, Karen Primus, Front Office Person of the Year, Susan Edwards, Chef of the Year, Christopher John, Yachting Operator of the Year, John West, Front Office Manager of the Year, Loretta Gill Ballantyne, and the award for 50 years of operations in SVG went to Grandview Beach Hotel. The Diver Operator of the Year award went to Glenroy Adams, with Leila Constantine receiving the Hotelier of the Year award. Local drivers, especially those driving public vans, are being urged to put down their cell phones and to act more responsibly on the road. This request was made by President of the International Safety Council, Roger Marks, who was speaking at the opening of a defensive driving course on Saturday. Marks says that cell phones have become a very serious cause of road accidents and is encouraging drivers to think about their actions next time they are on the road.
Driver distraction, which includes talking on the cell phones or texting while you're driving, has become a leading cause of death along with speeding and alcohol. Currently, there are 4 billion people using cell phones around the world, and 80% of drivers admit to using cell phones while driving. And research shows that cell phone users are 4 times more likely to be involved in a crash. One study reports that people engaged in phone conversations see up to less than 1/2 than other drivers.
Director of JARIC and International Safety Commission Master Trainer Eric Kipps is also advising motorists to be considerate to other road users.
And again, I just want to say, let's go out there and let's be responsible. Let's be responsible citizens of St. Vincent. Let's be responsible Caribbean citizens, because your life matters.
Kipps further stated that if not careful, the local tourism product can be greatly affected by unruly drivers.
Road safety has the capacity to affect your national economy. In countries like ours where tourism is a part of our economy, it brings in a lot of revenue. What we see happening is that tourists from around the world, they are now looking at the road safety performance of countries when they are choosing a destination. They don't want to get on a plane, fly to this beautiful island, and then be killed on the roads.
The execution of a search warrant at the Beachcombers Hotel at Villa has led to the arrest of a 36-year-old Dominican air hostess. Sherita Newton was charged for money laundering in the sum of $27,000 and that's 25 euros, which was discovered in the luggage she reportedly brought into the country at the E.T. Joshua Airport, which is prohibited by law. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Ration Brown Matthias earlier today, Newton pleaded guilty to the charges. A fine of $5,000 was imposed upon her to be paid forthwith. In default, a 9 months jail term will be imposed. The court also ordered that the money be forfeited and confiscated.